Hey, what's good, everybody? I'd like to welcome you all to a brand new episode of the Boombox Guru. I'm your host, LB, and for today's show, we got another album review. And today, the album that I'm going to be reviewing is Rodeo by Travis Scott. This album right here, my version is actually the deluxe version, which comes with two bonus tracks. All right, so let's get into this review. So Rodeo is the debut album by Travis Scott, released on September the 4th, 2015 through Grand Hustle / Epic Records. And this album followed up Travis's two critically acclaimed mixtapes known as Al Pharaoh and Days to Rodeo, released in 2013 and 2014 respectively. So stylistically, this album takes a more experimental approach to trap music and southern hip hop. And what I mean is that there's a lot of unconventional techniques, a very eclectic vibe that is set upon this sound. You know, there's a lot of things that go on here that you don't really hear on the typical trap album or within the typical trap sound. And commonly, this album is described as dark trap. The album puts a lot of emphasis on beautiful synth arrangements, along with melodic auto-tune harmonies, and they're fused well with these club banging trap beats. And speaking of auto-tune, I know auto-tune gets a bad rap, but when it's utilized well, I personally have no problem with it. And on this record, auto-tune is utilized very well throughout the whole album. So most of the songs on this album, they're very ambitious, they're long in length. I think the longest song on here that I can recall right now is about 7 minutes and 6 seconds, maybe a little longer, man. But most of the songs on here are actually like broken up into two parts. So there's a lot of like beat switches and pretty much transitionings into like almost completely different songs. They're basically like two songs merged into one. And I don't know if that was what it was intended to be. I don't know if that was some creative way of Travis maybe wanting to save room on the album and not like overload it with too many songs or make it a double album. If it was, man, I think that was pretty smart, and I think it was pretty unique that he did it that way. But that's the way it kind of comes off, man, because a lot of songs in here are like broken up into two parts, and a lot of beat switches go on. And Ti, who is basically, I guess, Travis's boss. He's the owner of Grand Hustle Records, but he provides narration on parts throughout the album, tying together the album's theme, and it's very similar to what Common did on Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon album. And a fun fact is that Kid Cudi is actually Travis Scott's favorite artist. He idolizes Kid Cudi, and his name is partly inspired by Kid Cudi. The Scott part is a homage to Kid Cudi because Kid Cudi's real name is Scott Muscudi. So that's what the Scott part in Travis's name is. It's a homage to him. So let's get into some key songs that I really enjoy on this record. The first song is "Oh My This Side" featuring Quavo from Migos. And this is the first song that you come upon that's broken up into two parts. And it pretty much sets the tone of the entire album. On this part, more specifically the "Oh My" part, which is part one of the song, it's a gritty club type trap beat with Quavo and Travis rapping about their past experiences before success. And like I said in the 2 Chainz album review, that seems to be a recurring theme in trap music. It's about survival and making it to the successful part of your life, or basically a rags to riches story. That's just a recurring theme in a lot of trap artists' music. And then the second part, this side, is a slower, mid-tempo beat with the use of beautiful but dark pianos and synths and a lot of great auto-tune harmonies. Quavo and Travis, of course, rap about finally making it to their successful stage in life, which what this side means. But yeah, I really enjoy this track, man, especially the second part, this side, because to me, this side has a lot of that. It has a very H-Town influence, and of course, Travis Scott is actually from Houston, Texas, so I would imagine that was partly inspired by that Houston, Texas hip hop sound. It just has that kind of vibe to it. But the next key song is Wasted featuring Juicy J. A very slow, murky beat with a drugged out soundscape. It's very reminiscent of the chopped and screwed style of Houston, Texas. That it's very like druggy and droggy, man. Like when you hear it, it just has that whole vibe to it, man. It's very slow. It's just something that you kind of just would ride to and just maybe kick back and vibe out to. And it features a very prominent sample of the late great Pimp C of UGK on certain parts, like around the chorus part. Oh, actually, I think that sample actually might be the chorus or like second chorus to the song. But Juicy J, man, I really like the Juicy J's verse on this track. He had a very standout verse on here, man. Like when I was listening to his verse, man, it just reminded me of like the older Juicy J, from back in the 3-6 Mafia days, man. It just kind of reminded me that because at this point, Juicy J had, he become basically a mainstream artist, man. He'd been, doing music with Taylor Gang and stuff like that. His profile really raised at this point, and I always kind of felt that he kind of dumbed down his style a little bit. He changed his style up a little bit, but this track right here, man, it just brought it back to that classic Juicy J style, man. From the like sipping on some scissor days and whatnot, man. That's what it really reminded me of. And like Juicy J's verse is more akin to the title of the song, like being wasted. Like we all know what the song being wasted means, like getting drunk out your mind and so forth. But Travis's verse, he uses his verse to discuss like his come up, and that's something that's gonna continue to come up throughout the album. Is Travis really talking about his come up, and in the game. So the next song is 90210, featuring Casey Hill. And then this is another song that's broken up into two parts. The first part is slow with a minimalist beat, nice piano loop playing in the background, heavy synths during certain parts of Travis's verses. And this part, Travis mainly sings. He sings the verses. Casey Hill, she provides like a simple but a beautiful performance on the chorus. I really like her performance on the chorus, man. Her crooning and just her overall approach on the chorus, I thought was really beautiful, man. I really dug it. And the song, it's about like a porn star actress that prostitutes herself to pay for her lifestyle. And then Travis also touches on his drug use. And then when you get to the second part of the song, the beat switches into like this faster tempo, sort of like boom bap inspired beat. And it samples Family Business from Kanye West. And for what I was reading about the song when I was doing research, man, it's that the whole beat switch and everything is supposed to like symbolize the change in his life at this point. Like this second part is like Travis like touching on living his life in the fast lane now that he's made it, and possibly the effects of the drugs that he took in part one on the song. And so the last song here is Piss on Your Grave featuring Kanye West. And originally this was a Kanye song that was supposed to feature Paul McCartney from the Beatles. And it was supposed to be on Kanye's Life of Pablo album. Man, that'd have been nice, man, to hear Kanye West do a song with Paul McCartney, man. It's too bad that didn't really come to fruition, man, because that would have been dope, honestly, man. But it's a hard-hitting, abrasive song, very in-your-face approach. I think this is probably the hardest song on the record. I mean, the whole performances between Travis and Kanye, man. I mean, especially Kanye, man. He's very abrasive on this song. On this song when he's like pissing your face. The F is you saying? I mean, he gets really loud and in your face about it. And I was reading an annotation about this song on Genius.com. And this is the annotation that I got from here. From there, it says, in context, Piss on Your Grave is a prophetic announcement to the white executives of corporate America. The baby boomers have retired, and now only Generation X stands between the snake persons and corporate governance. Kanye and Travis know these faceless men are a dying breed, and can't wait to rain on their parade. So that was just the annotation that I read off of Genius.com. So I'm thinking this song was like created like in between like the Kanye's Yeezus period and Life of Pablo. But I've never really heard Life of Pablo in full, but I don't know. I think this song would have probably been a good fit on Yeezus as well, with the subject matter, because that was when Kanye was really going in about the whole new slaves thing, and you know, you guys all remember that period where he was really ranting at the concerts about corporate America and such, man. But I really dig the track, man. I even like, especially like the live instrumentation that's provided on certain parts, like especially during the hook, but a very bass pounding beat, heavy, man. It's definitely probably the heaviest and most aggressive song on the record, no doubt. So, conclusion, my final thoughts on this album, most people consider Rodeo to be a trap masterpiece and a classic within the Southern hip hop genre, man. I can totally agree because, considering that trap had really reached its peak at this point in 2015, man, this record really set it apart. It really set itself apart from what most artists were doing. It wasn't that cookie cutter trap music that got so popular at the time, where it seemed like the artists weren't really trying. They were just honing it in. Like Travis really, he really did something. He really created something special with this record. You can tell that he really put his heart and soul into making something that was of the times, but at the same time was timeless and definitely was unique and stood out from the bunch, man. Like Rodeo definitely stands out amongst so many other records that had come out during that period. And the experimental approach and the unconventional techniques used to create this album, uh, like I said, it definitely sets it apart from everything else that was coming out, in the trap genre at that time, man. Because 2015 trap had kind of got redundant. It was beginning to get redundant. Of course, we know now that trap music has become global, and there's people in other countries that are doing trap and implementing that sound into their music and into their culture, man. But this one shines out. This one shines out like a diamond. It really does. And it, with everything that they done on here, with the eclectic fusion that they put on this record, man, it really stretched the boundaries and limitations of what trap music can do and what can be done with it, man. There was no limitations to what Scott did with the music and the styles on here, man. And he really gave the genre more of a sense of legitimacy to be taken serious. To be really taken serious. And he raised the bar with it on this record, and he put it in artsy territory because it has a very eclectic nature about it. It's not all the hard. It's different from like what 2 Chainz did on Pretty Girls Like Trap Music. That, to me, that record right there was for the streets, for the most part. But this album right here, I mean, it can be for the streets, but it can also be for people for the artsy, I guess maybe hipster types as well, in some way, if that's the right way to put it. But thus far, man, I would say that Rodeo is Travis Scott's most, accomplished album to date. And I view it as a standout amongst trap rap and southern hip hop in general, man. Yeah, man, there's a lot of people that consider Rodeo to be his best album, man. I totally agree. His last album, Astro World, I would say would be second place as one of his best albums, but Rodeo is definitely number one by far, his best record. It's his most accomplished work. I mean, the creativity that was put into this album, man, it's just amazing. A big shout out to all the people that took part in shaping and creating this masterpiece, because I really can say that this is a masterpiece. And when I first bought this record, when I first listened to it, when I first bought it, man, I didn't initially think it was bad, but at the same time, I didn't really get it. I didn't really get it. I kind of felt like, okay, he's trying to do something with this, but I don't know if he's quite hitting the mark. But going back and revisiting this record repeatedly and listening to it, it's like, I don't think this is an album that you're gonna necessarily get off the first couple listens. I think it's a record that you really got to take your time with to understand it. And now I'm seeing what he's doing. This is essentially beyond trap music, man. This is experimental hip hop music. You know what I'm saying? with a modern twist, with trap being that modern twist, you know what I'm saying? But this is experimental hip hop. It's eclectic, man. I put this record in the same vein as what Kid Cudi does with his music, as well as Kanye, man. These are artists that uh they're so unorthodox with their approach to hip hop music, man. They don't do the typical. They do the unconventional. They're not afraid to take risks with their music, and this is something that Rodeo really falls under. It's an album that wasn't afraid to take risk and to do something that might make you think like, hey, that's kind of cool how he done that, man. But I really enjoy this album. It's actually becoming one of my favorite hip hop albums. It's actually becoming one of my favorite hip hop albums. I can see this record like years later, years down the road, being looked at as a shining gem within hip hop music, especially Southern hip hop, man. That's just what I'm getting from this record, man. I can feel like I could look back on this record maybe 10 years or 20 years from now, man, and be like, yeah, that's a classic right there. That's the way that I view this album, man. It definitely has that vibe to it as being a classic record, man. But truly enjoy this record. If you're someone that maybe haven't really dug into Travis Scott's music that much, I highly recommend that you start with Rodeo, man. Cause it's an awesome record, man. It may take you a few listens to really get into the groove of the music and what's really going on, man. But I'm telling you, it's one of the most unique and interesting albums that I have heard within the trap music genre, man. So I highly recommend that you guys go and check this album out. If you get the physical copy, try to find the deluxe edition, because it comes with 2 bonus tracks that are really good as well. Especially that OK or Alright with Schoolboy Q. Definitely, you definitely want to get this version or stream it, whatever. But that's it for this album review. I hope you guys enjoyed this album review, enjoyed this video, and I want to say thanks to everybody that's been watching my videos, that's been commenting on it and giving me great feedback or constructive criticism. I really appreciate it, because most part I don't really expect people to really be watching my videos, but I'm glad that people are watching them, man. And I hope you guys enjoy the content. If you can, hit that thumbs up, give me a like, because it helps get my video more exposure. Subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbnail so you'll be notified when I drop new videos. And check out my other content, man. I got so much other things on there, man. I got albums ranked, discography breakdowns, some early podcast episodes I were doing when I was experimenting with that. More album reviews, of course. Some tier list, which I haven't done a tier list in a long time. I may get back into doing that as well, man. But yeah, definitely check out my content, because I think you all will enjoy it. And I hope everybody has a blessed day, a blessed week. And as always, love, peace, and music. Peace out.